Good morning, I'm Chris with Everyman Overland, and I'm here today to introduce you to one of the newest rooftop tents on the market and part of kind of a group or maybe a new category of rooftop tents that I think we're kind of going through a revolution at the moment where the $4,000 tent is going to be on its way out the window. So I would like to introduce to you the Hotham Gen 2 rooftop tent by San Hima. This is brought to us by the guys at Vic Off-Road. This is their new offering to the US market. Now they've got a couple of different tents. This is the Hotham. They also have a Hotham X, which is one of the newer tents that you've seen that has that kind of X-shaped hinge up here at the front that lifts the entire lid up a little bit more to give you a little bit more kind of foot room, or maybe you can sleep the other way, a little bit more headroom. But this tent has this little kick out at the back that you've seen. You've seen other brands, other types out like this recently, I'm sure, that are very similar, but it really does give you a whole bunch more room up inside the tent. I've always kind of been a fan of this wedge style tent because of the ease of setup, how quickly they set up. When they are collapsed, they are particularly small, they are low profile, and since Janky's somewhat tall, like I actually have problems, like I'm always looking at branches trying to make sure I can get underneath branches on the trail, make sure that that's going to work out, because I don't want to rip the tent off the truck or damage the tent in the process. Nobody wants that, right? So the fact that these wedge tents collapse down so much smaller has always kind of been a benefit that I wanted to look into. That was something that I would like to have. It's just never really presented it as an option for me because I'm kind of a big dude. So we've done a few different other types of rooftop tents. We did a couple of soft shell tents. We did the standard size Smitty built, and we did the large Smitty built, and those were a horrible pain in the butt. It's a good way to get into having a rooftop tent, but they take forever to set up. They're all flappy going down the road. It's not really something you want to deal with, but mostly they are such a pain to set up and take down. And so I don't know, a year ago or something like that, we were able to get our hands on an iCamper, which is a fantastic tent. It's huge, whatever. It's got all the room in the whole world inside of it, but it opens up to the side. It's a clamshell. It's a lot taller, and it still takes longer to set up than wedge style. But I've always been afraid of the wedge style because they didn't have enough room in them, and me being, you know, as big as I am, I want to make sure when I go out camping, like I don't want to spend however many dollars on a rooftop tent, especially when these things have been $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, you know, however expensive they get out there. I didn't want to spend that kind of money and then end up with a tent that I don't fit in, and now it's just kind of useless to me and I have to go about selling it or whatever I do. And I've said for a long time that I'd really love to try out a wedge style tent just to kind of see how they would work, especially if I'm solo camping. I don't do a ton of solo trips, going on trips without Marla. She's always coming with me because I love having her with me, because who doesn't want Marla coming with them? But on the few occasions that I have gone out and I've got this massive rooftop tent, I'm up in there and I'm up in the iCamper and there's enough room for 47 people. It's a little excess, and maybe it would be nice to have a smaller tent for when it's just me. So when my guys at Vic Off-Road reached out to me a few weeks ago and said, hey, listen, we're bringing this new tent to market in the States, and we'd like to send you one so that you can try it out and kind of give your opinion. This was a perfect situation. So now I can go about trying one of these tents, see how it works out for me, kind of show you guys the design and the features of this tent to give you another option that is actually strikingly affordable. So if the only thing you're looking for is, hey, does it fit, does it work, and how much does it cost? This tent is now on Amazon, and I've dropped a link below. It's not an affiliate link. I'm not making any money off this. I'm not trying to sell you something so that I make some money. I'd rather just give you a nice, honest review. This tent is now available for $1,400 shipped to your house. And I can't think of a better deal. When they first sent it to me and I opened up, I was already very impressed. And at that point, it had a price of like $2,600, but it was on sale for like $1,600, and then there was shipping. And I was already happy and impressed at the $1,600 plus shipping. And now that they've actually kind of finalized bringing it to the States and it's on Amazon, $1,400 shipped, I don't know how you're gonna beat that. I'm having trouble coming up with words to express how awesome that is. So if that's all you need to hear, go ahead, click that link below, go get you one right now before they run out of stock. Or if you'd like to see some more, even though I realize it's already up on top of the truck, let's go ahead and get this thing unboxed. So hopefully the audio is okay in here. I got my microphone out, whatever, but I got the fan going because it's hot. It's South Carolina, it's summertime, it's hot. Now that the tent is up in the air, somewhat precarious, don't worry about standing underneath it, we're gonna be okay. Just wanted to show you before I put the mounts on it and everything else, everything that comes with it. I was actually pretty happy that it came wrapped up in this, I mean, it's kind of a cheap, flimsy little bag, but at least they wrapped it up in something while it was in transit. It just showed up in this cardboard box, had a little bit of soft foam around it, but it was wrapped up in this. And even though the box showed up damaged, like it's all grungied up on one side, looking over the tent, there's no scratches, there's no nothing. It looks perfect, it's beautiful. So I'm really happy about that. Comes with a shoe bag or a whatever you decide to put in it bag. I mean, there's a lot of room in here. You can actually see that it's got a mesh bottom to it so that if you put your wet, dirty, muddy shoes in here, they should be able to drain out overnight so they're not wet tomorrow morning. It's got more mesh pockets here on the front and then some solid pockets. Like you could put a whole bunch of stuff in here, whatever you need. In this bag, and boy am I happy they included a bag, is the ladder. And there it is. Just a fairly standard affair ladder, nothing too exciting about it. It's got the hooks on here so that you can hook it onto the tent. Again, it'll hook on any one of the three sides. Just like that. That's all it takes to put the ladder up. And because this is a wedge style tent, not a fold open from the side like a clamshell, whatever, like the tents that I've done in the past, my iCamper and my Smitty builds that I've had, this ladder only supports me or whoever's climbing up inside of it. It doesn't actually support the tent. With the folding out tents, be it the iCamper, Smitty built, any of them like that, when you fold that out and the ladder drops down, that ladder is like, it's the support pole that holds up that end of the tent. And so you really got to be careful about exactly how you set it just right. You got to make sure as the ladder is extending out, click, 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 you got to get just the right amount of clicks so that there's support because you don't want it to be able to squash down. This one, you get whatever the ground is, you just kind of move it out to wherever it needs to be. And once it's all supportive, that's fine because all it's got to do is carry you up. It doesn't have to support the tent. And I'm stoked that they included a bag because with everything that I want to keep inside of this, and there's not a ton of room inside of there, I don't know that I'm going to be able to keep the ladder inside of the tent. I may have to put it back into the back end of the truck, and having this make sure that nothing gets all muddy. Then of course it comes with the crossbars. This is like a roof rack for your roof tent, right? It's got the crossbars here, and then these actually mount to the side. And then the last little bit of kit that this comes with, this little bag here, is actually all of the installation items. And one thing that's awesome about this, for the main mounting screws, they include these little guys that you can actually tighten by hand. So you don't have to have a tool to get up in there. All of my previous tents, there's not a whole lot of room underneath the front end of the roof rack on Janky. Like it's really hard to get in there. And I've just had standard, bolts and like lock nuts and whatever, like the Teflon nylock, whatever they are. And so you have to get a wrench up underneath there and you can barely get it with your hand and you got to move it like this. And it's just a pain. It's really hard. So having this in there where all I have to do is get my hand up in there and tighten it down, and I don't have to try and keep the wrench up on the nut and it's falling off, and it is going to make it a ton easier. This is awesome. I'm really glad they included these. So now, get the truck backed in here, we'll be in business. So here we are. I'm in like a minute and a half, and now you can see the tent is completely set up. Because of these large windows on the side and the large skylight up above me, it is very open and airy. Like what you see, I mean, there's only a little bit of fabric here. Everything else is just beautiful country wilderness, except that I'm staying in a campground at the moment because my plans didn't quite work out for where I was gonna stay tonight, but that's okay. We're talking about a tent, not a campground. So I pick you guys up here and kind of move you around. You can see that this has 6 storage bins up here on the top of the tent. Also has this diamond pleated fabric that's up here. There's not a ton of insulation underneath. It feels like there might be a real thin layer of batting underneath there, but the roof is made of an aluminum honeycomb. So it does give you a little bit of insulation up above. And of course, the aluminum honeycomb is the same underneath you, so you get a little bit of insulation there as well. Also included, what you can see here, which I think is a fantastic addition, is this anti-condensation mat. So you're not just laying everything right down on top of the aluminum. You've got this anti-condensation mat, and it's probably about 1/2 of an inch thick. It's got like a double layer of this weave, and it's kind of squishy. So if any condensation forms on there, everything like the mattress, whatever, just kind of floats up on top of that, and nothing's going to get wet. That's a fantastic addition. You're able to see in here, I was actually able to get most of my bedding in here. Like this is all the bedding, the sheets and everything else. I do have one pillow that's down in the truck itself, but I was able to keep all of this stuff in the tent. There is enough room to fold this up in here with the factory mattress. You can actually get a little bit more room in here by utilizing like an inflatable mattress, because when they're deflated, they're not as thick as this factory mattress. So you can get a little bit more stuff in here. I've got a pretty hefty pillow, but I'd be willing to bet if I put that pillow into a vac seal bag, which is what I've got these in, with that inflatable mattress, I'd be able to fit everything I wanted in here. And speaking of mattresses, this mattress that it comes with is actually not so bad. I very much expected, just like I think everyone does in this segment or any rooftop tent segment, as soon as it shows up, I'm gonna pull the factory mattress out, I'm gonna put it in storage, I'm gonna throw it in the garage, I'm gonna throw it away, I'm gonna give it to a homeless guy, whatever. Like, I don't understand why, but even the $4,000 and $5,000 really expensive rooftop tents, it seems to me like the people who build these tents are very interested in building good tents and don't care at all about the mattress. When that's where your comfort comes from, that's what you're sleeping on. But this mattress, I'm telling you, this mattress is actually more comfortable than the one that came in my $4,000+ iCamper. It's got a dual density foam setup, so there's like a thicker density foam on the bottom and a lighter density foam on the top. So you still get a little bit of comfortable squishy, but you don't just end up laying down on top of the aluminum floor. So this being the first night that I'm sleeping in it, I actually plan to sleep on this factory mattress. Just to make sure I sleep through the night, I did bring an inflatable mattress with me in case, as I'm laying here, like, yeah, that's not gonna work. But I'll let you know in the morning how that worked out for me. Also included in the tent, you can see this light strip that comes with it. It's included. And it's not just a 1 or 2, but it's actually a 3 color light. If you hold your thumb down on the control, it will dim down so that you can set the light exactly the way you want. And then you can actually cycle through 3 different color patterns. I think the way they're doing this is something like a 3000K light, and then that one is probably a 6000K, and if you turn both of them on, that gets you to about a 4500K, which really kind of simulates daylight. It's maybe just a slightly bit warmer than daylight, but I think that's a fantastic addition. It's got little clips up here that hold it in, so it can just live in here at all times, but they give you light. I think that's pretty awesome. And as you can see, you've got good high quality construction. All of these seams are taped inside of here. There's a tape seam here and here. So this factory hoop that adds the structure to this kick out at the back, not only is it attached at the bottom and hinged so that you don't have to pull it out and plug it in and try and find the hole, whatever, it just stays there, but it's also wrapped in this fabric. Because if you've ever touched one of these aluminum poles in the middle of the night, if you accidentally bump it, I mean, I think they hover at like -22 degrees. They're so cold when you touch them. These extendable poles on each side give structure to this corner, as opposed to some of the tents that just have one pole in the middle and it can kind of get a little floppy on the side. So if it gets a bit windy, things won't shake around quite as much because this has a lot more structure and a lot more support. And another great addition that I haven't seen too many people talking about with these With the way these poles and this kick out sits up like this, I've actually tried it. Like if I grab that strap and I try and pull it down, I can't close the top with this open. This almost acts like a kickstand the way it's pushed up into the, oh, there it went. The way this is kind of pushed up into the corner of this fabric, this corner would have to extend farther out for the top to be able to come down. And that's one of the main complaints people give about these wedge style tents, or something that I've heard anyway. I don't know if it's really a problem or just something that I've heard about. But if you get into a particularly windy condition and the wind is coming and striking the face of that wedge, that it can actually overpower those air struts on the side and close the tent on you while you're sleeping. Now, it's not going to close it up like an alligator's mouth and you're never going to be heard from again, right? But you still don't want to be like laying in bed at night like, oh, I hope this wind goes away and the thing closes on you. That's a giant pain. Nobody wants that. And the way these support rods are set up, that can't happen. This holds the whole thing open. It's awesome. So that's about all there is to the inside of this. I mean, it's just a rooftop tent, right? But I will tell you my initial impression, and again, I'm sleeping in it for the first time tonight, so I'm just kind of checking things out. I think this thing's fantastic. At the time that I'm filming this, they have this for sale for about $1,600. And when you compare the quality and the space and the features and all of the other things to a $3,000 and $4,000 and sometimes $5,000 tent setup, even other wedge designs like this from Roof Nest or the like, there's a lot of them out there that are particularly expensive. Do they have better features? Yeah, maybe. Are they a little bit better quality? Maybe their zippers are a little bit nicer, whatever. Probably. But what else can I do with that extra $2,000 or $3,000 that I'm not spending on the tent? If I can have this tent and a set of tires, or if I can have this tent and a lift kit, instead of just that tent that, well, the fabric on the inside is just a little bit nicer. I mean, this is still ripstop poly. It's still waterproof. I don't know. Again, we'll see how I feel in the morning. But right now, I'm really happy to be in here. This is a fantastic setup. It's simple. It's easy to set up. It's got everything I need. It's got great quality. Big windows to see out of. So I guess that's about that for tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get downstairs. I'm going to start getting dinner made. I'm going to get a fire going. And we'll see you in the morning. Let you know how it all went. So here we are the next morning, and you can see that I slept with the windows about halfway up, so it gives you a little bit of privacy, but you still get lots of room up top for some breeze to come through. And then the rear door I just left hanging, so again, it kind of blocks most of the light and everything coming in, but lets air come through. I only made it probably about an hour before I switched out to my inflatable mattress, but still better than the iCamper mattress. I wanted to make it through the whole night, just didn't. And you can see from this angle that you really do kind of want to roll those windows about halfway up, because when you're laying up there, you're really just kind of on display for the entire camp. Those windows are just so big, but you roll them about halfway up, and it gives you the privacy that you're looking for. All in all, I love the look, love the design, very happy with this tent. So there you are. In conclusion, I'm super happy with this tent. For solo camping purposes, I love this tent. This is awesome. Collapses down super small. Setup and takedown are super easy and super fast. It's got everything that I'm looking for. This is fantastic. So I'm super excited to have this for any solo adventures that I'll be going on at any point here in the future. This thing's really awesome. So let's go over some of the things that I like that I don't like. Things to like. Obviously, the price point. Dude, $1,400 shipped to your door. It's hard to find a decent used rooftop tent for that kind of price. So of course, affordability is the first thing that I really love about it. I like the inherent quality that it's got. Everything about the tent feels very quality. The fabric is great. All of the zippers are behind a little flap, so if the rain does show up, it's not gonna get in through the zippers. I love this shoe bag and how easy it is to attach it. It just goes into this little rail. So you can slide it back and forth, kind of put it wherever you want it. But this is the first shoe bag that I've ever actually used. All the other tents that I've had, I mean, they come with shoe bags, but they've got these weird straps, and where do you go about attaching it? There's never a good spot for it. This one with this little built-in rail right at the bottom, and the way that this attaches into that, you just slide it in, you could put it wherever you want it, you could put it on either side, you could put it on the back. It's super easy, it's fast, it's very accessible. I love that shoe bag. Mad props to San Hima for that shoe bag. It's awesome. I'm also a big fan of this ladder. You can see here that it's got these little release points on the bottom side of the steps. So instead of having to get your thumbs in here and you gotta, unlatch the thing and move it up a row, all you have to do is just grab the ladder from the bottom, push it up, and every time the rungs collapse into each other, it unlocks the next one and it folds right up. How about that? How easy is that? And then it's got this little Velcro strap that goes around there, which all of these ladders have this Velcro strap, and I've never understood why. I've never used the Velcro strap, but now it's so easy to collapse like this that you can just wrap that up like that, and you can leave the thing hanging off the side of the truck if you want, or when it's time to put everything away, you want to put it back in its case, just unhook the ladder right off of there, put it in its carry case, and you're on your way. I do like the fact that it has these huge windows in it. It's got these massive windows, one on each side, one at the back, one at the top. So if you have everything opened up and you're in there, like obviously you've got the roof line behind you that blocks any kind of view from there, but the rest of the tent is just very, very open. So if you're up in there, you've got fantastic views. If you're out somewhere looking over the canyons or wherever you happen to be, you can see through very easily. It's also very open, so if you get a little bit of a breeze, you're gonna get a lot more breeze through these huge open windows than you would with kind of a smaller window. So now let's get into what I don't like. And there's not a ton of don't like about it. The smaller interior size means that I can't use this tent for myself and Marla when we're out there together. Now, if you are like normal human size, a couple can sleep in this thing perfectly easy. It's roughly the size of a double or full size bed, just a little bit less than 52 inches wide, and we are about 79 and a half, almost 80 inches long. However, when you're 6'4" and fairly chonky, I do start to run out of room. When I was up camping with it last weekend, I actually had myself and one dog, and that was about right. Dog was comfortable, I was comfortable, but I don't know that Marla would have been comfortable. So its smaller size is a bit of a downfall for me, maybe not for you. And there's only a couple other things that I'm not really crazy about with this tent. One of them is the fact that, as you can see up here, there's no type of canopy system coming out over these side windows. So what are you gonna do if it's 70, 75 degrees and you're like, I can go camping, and it starts raining? Well, you kind of have to close those windows or the rain's gonna come in, right? So you're kind of locked into being in a fully enclosed space. Whereas if you had a bit of a canopy coming out over there, like most other tents have, you can leave the windows either all the way open or you can at least leave them partially open. The rain doesn't come in, but you can still get some fresh air and a breeze in there, and you can't do that with this one. And the last thing that I would like to see in it, even though it does have 6 pockets up on the roof, what it doesn't have is it doesn't have any pockets down here at this end. It would be great if it had a pocket down here in the corner or up on the end piece, because the shape of this thing, you really kind of have to sleep with your feet down at the hinge side, and then you sleep with your head up at the window side. And it would be really nice to have a pocket up there, so when you're done with your phone, like you're laying there, oh, I'm done with my phone or doing whatever I'm doing, put it in there. So unfortunately, that was the point at which, that it being so hot here in South Carolina, my GoPro turned off. So you missed out on the last 30 seconds of whatever I was saying there about, yeah, it'd be nice to have pockets down at this end. But really, I'm kind of stretching. When it comes to, yeah, I don't like this, I don't like that, I'm really having to look for things that I don't like about this tent. The tent treated me very well, it's awesome, and at that price point, I just don't see how you can go wrong. I'm sure there's always going to be a market for the absolute latest and greatest, and there's going to be people out there with the money to spend on a $4,000 and $5,000 tent. But I sort of feel like those people are getting fewer and fewer, and those days are numbered. When you can get a tent this good for $1,400 shipped to your door, I just can't imagine spending nearly 3 times that much to get a different tent. When the guys at Vic Off-Road first offered to send this out to me, I very much expected that, hey, maybe it's impressive, maybe it's good, this and that, but it's just not going to work for me. Well, this has changed my mind, and even though I would only use it for solo camping, I'm absolutely going to keep this. I'm happy to have this as part of my kit now, have the ability to use this whenever I want. So thank you so much to the guys out at Vic Off-Road. Thank you to all of you who are viewing this. make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We've got a couple of different projects that we're working on for later this summer that you definitely don't want to miss out on. If you'd like to check out our Patreon, you can find us as Everyman Overland on Patreon. And thank you so much for the time you've spent watching this. I hope this was informative, and click the link below to get you one of these tents. It really is fantastic. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you on the next one.